You're preparing for the Super Bowl for the second time and are going into the biggest game of your life down your wide receiver 2, and now it's coming out that you're also down tight end 1, but that's not all. Midway through the game, you'll lose your new wide receiver 2, and your run game, which your entire game plan is based on, will have one of the worst performances in Super Bowl history, like less than 2 yards a pop. But the good thing, you have QB1, and he's a dude, and you have wide receiver 1 who just completed the greatest season at the position of all time. This adversity mirrors the adversity you faced during the regular and postseason, where there was the good, the bad, and the ugly. But here you are smack dab in the middle of football nirvana, battling for your life with everything on the line. Today we'll look back at Super Bowl 56 through the eyes of Sean McVay and analyze what his game plan was, how he adjusted or tried to adjust mid-game, and what he did on the final drive to win it all. But before we do, I want to once again thank Built Bar, which is pound for pound the best in the business. Built Bar is the world's best tasting protein bar that comes in 18 permanent flavors. It has all the guilt-free benefits of a healthy protein bar: gluten-free, no preservatives, low calories, low carbs and fat. All those numbers are actually some of the lowest on the market, but here's the kicker. Built Bars taste fantastic. I'm used to protein bars that taste dry, chalky, no flavor, or just weird flavor that just is basically gross in my mouth. But Built Bar legit tastes like a mouth-watering candy bar. My favorite flavor is coconut, since it tastes like one of my go-tos, Almond Joys, and the cookies and cream is unbelievable because it reminds me of these milkshakes I used to get when I was younger. You can buy boxes that ship right to your door, where you can customize a box to get exactly what you want, order just one flavor if you're in love, or get a 12-bar mix box if you're trying to feel out a bunch of different flavors. If you want to try it out and get a 10% discount on any order, all you have to do is click the link in the description box or use my code ALEXNFL10. So, once again, a huge thank you to them, and now back to the Super Bowl. We'll go through piece by piece, starting with McVay's game plan, which early on was to run the ball, try to hit on a couple of deep shots, and use Cooper Kupp as a decoy to scheme Odell Beckham Jr. open. That plan was predicated on the expectation that the Bengals would play a lot of two high safety coverages, since they did so the 10th most in the league. And that's significant, because if you've been watching this channel recently, you know two high coverages are better against the pass, since there's more help deep, but takes one of those guys out of the box away from the line of scrimmage, which makes you weaker against the run. Throughout the game, McVay ran early and often, but the Rams' backs averaged the lowest yards per carry ever for a Super Bowl winning team, and their primary running back Cam Akers was hit at or behind the line of scrimmage repeatedly, and here's why. The Bengals surprisingly played a lot of one high safety coverages, but more importantly used specific alignments on the defensive line to blow up the zone running game, which is McVay's happy place. The zone running game is all about creating double teams on the defensive line, then using one of the blockers to move up to a linebacker. Typically speaking, this is blocked with Whitworth and Edwards comboing up to Jermaine Pratt, and Allen and Corbett comboing up to Logan Wilson, but because DJ Reader is aligned on the inside shoulder of Corbett in what's called a 2I or G alignment, look how overextended Allen becomes to make contact. This allows Wilson to flow free up the middle, as the Bengals linebackers did all day long, and blow up the run. Even when the Rams tried to outrun them to the outside, they continued using this 2I G alignment. Sometimes they'd stem the front, meaning they'd shift right at the last moment, and cause Edwards can't get off the 2I, the Bengals' second-level defenders kept flying in basically untouched. Usually this calls for an adjustment from the offense, where you either call more gap scheme runs like power or counter to create better angles on that 2IG defender, but McVay didn't really dial any of those up. Plus he called surprisingly few play-action passes from under center, which would have punished the ultra-aggressive linebackers flying towards the run. The other issue was that he thought the Bengals would play a ton of cover 2 zone, where, as I mentioned, they played the 10th most, but they ended up mixing up their tendencies, which messed up a lot of his game plan. He wanted to take big-time deep shots over the top early on, but he either didn't get the coverages he was hoping for, or didn't have the protection from his line to hold up long enough. Let's take a look at this play, where the Bengals have learned from other defenses' past mistakes. Okay, really it was just the Chicago Bears. They are playing what's known to some as cover 6 or quarter half, where one side of the deep coverage is playing a half of the field while the other side is playing 2 quarters. The Rams are running their choke corner concept, which is right here, ripped straight from McVay's playbook, except here they run it out of empty with 3 receivers at the bottom. And by the way, in football, receivers are counted from the outside in, so they have number 1 running this kind of comeback route, 2 running a deep post, 3 hanging underneath, and then the one on the other side running what McVay calls a swirl instead of a corner. Well, we can see the same exact concept here from week 1 against the Bears, but they flip-flop their quarters and half defenders. McVay's goal in this concept is to isolate the backside safety, and what I mean by that is to tie down the backside of the coverage so the post comes wide open. The half safety now has to choose between the post and what looks like a vertical route, and that leaves Cooper Kupp wide open for a massive touchdown, and the Rams were kumbaya. But back to the Bengals version, they had the quarters players to the deep post, and so they were able to pass it off much easier, plus the Rams' offensive line struggled a bit in the straight drop-back passing game, at least early on. They tried the same exact concept on the interception before halftime, where the Bengals again mixed up their coverage, and throughout the game played a lot more one high, like cover 1 man or cover 3, which is not what the Rams want to call this play against. But that helped in other ways, like scheming open Odell, which highlights some of the good in McVay's game plan. He knew the Bengals were selling out to stop Kupp no matter what, and that would give Odell a lot of one-on-one coverage, so his game plan was designed to make Odell the Super Bowl MVP, but then he got hurt. Take this play, for example, where the Rams are in their empty formation and are running spear, which is 2 deep crossing routes, a classic cover 1 beater, and that's exactly what the Bengals are running. They are in man coverage with one of their safeties, Jesse Bates, playing as the robber, but is really rotating down to double Kupp, and Odell knows it. When he sees Bates is coming down and has all his attention on Kupp, watch how he uses a stair-step technique to take a step up the field, making the corner adjust with him. This puts the corner on the same path as Bates, and Odell effectively picks off his defender and makes a big-time play. But after he got injured with 3 minutes left in the half, which was devastatingly sad, it was also devastatingly bad for the Rams offense and McVay's game plan. With the Bengals doubling Kupp in any way they could, and basically daring the rest of the Rams receivers to win a one-on-one matchup, nobody was able to. McVay tried using Van Jefferson, and even running back Darrell Henderson to win fades outside, but they couldn't step up and the offense sputtered until 6 minutes left in the game, down 4, 79 yards away from the lead. McVay made one crucial change to expand the formations wider to give Kupp more room to work, and he started mixing and matching him in different positions to get him the best possible matchup. Based on all the data McVay had collected throughout the game, like how the Bengals defense would react to different formations, he went hurry up to keep them on their toes and said, "F it, Kupp's down there somewhere." Look how they put Kupp at number 2 and the tight end outside at 1. With the nickel corner following the strength of the formation where the slot is over here, this leaves Pratt the linebacker in zone coverage one-on-one with Kupp. This had already happened several times earlier in the game with Pratt on Kupp in zone, which basically plays out like man, and it's a straight mismatch the likes of which makes Pratt not too happy with the Bengals sideline. Then, just a minute later, came the play that will be talked about for the rest of history. Stafford holds the defender with his eyes, then makes a no-look pass to Kupp, which would push them further into Bengals territory, and of course was set up earlier. McVay calls this play Dixie Right 2-Jet Zebra Flag Z-Race Wide, also known on this channel as the bounce concept. It's a classic high-low stretch, meaning there's a high element in Kupp and a low element in Bryson Hopkins, which is designed to high-low stretch Von Bell. When Stafford sees Bell sitting in the middle, he knows he wants to get him to jump up to Hopkins. This played out similar early in the game where the Rams are running the same play but flipped, and now they're trying to stretch Pratt. Stafford is trying to look at the low option to get Pratt to move over, but he hangs in the window just long enough that Stafford has to get rid of the ball a tad early, and also the protection can't hold quite long enough, so next time he knows he has to take some drastic measures. Now we can see him staring at Von Bell, the defender they're trying to stretch, and Bell has a good amount of space in between him and Hopkins. Stafford knows he has to sell the Hopkins route even more than he did against Pratt, so he fully shifts his shoulders, eyes, and body towards Hopkins to sell it, even pats the ball, alerting Bell he's about to throw there, but then unleashes one of the craziest, most insane passes I've ever seen, especially given the circumstances. They kept driving and driving until they got into the low red zone. And yes, while I don't believe this was a hold on Logan Wilson, it was another play that McVay had set up with formation. When the Bengals wanted to play zone earlier in the game, the Rams put Kupp at number 3 inside, which means unless you're playing man coverage, you're practically guaranteeing Kupp's on a linebacker. So when it came down to crunch time, Wilson on Kupp, that is a mismatch. And even though it wasn't a penalty, and yeah, they had Bell there to bracket him, you deserve to get burned if you've got Wilson on Kupp to win it all. Yada yada yada, on 2nd and 1, the Rams have a run call dialed up, but Stafford sees Kupp outside matched on everybody's favorite player, Eli Apple, and the rest is history. This was not the cleanest or best game that's ever happened, and I don't think Sean McVay even had a particularly good game plan, even considering the fact he just won a Super Bowl and I'm some guy on YouTube. He didn't adjust his run game by calling more gap schemes. He didn't dial up enough under center play action. A lot of his calls were designed to be too high, which the Bengals weren't really playing. And once Odell went down, it took him a pretty long time to adjust before the final drive when he started feeding Kupp. The circumstances weren't ideal with no Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, and then of course no OBJ. But when it all came down to it, McVay relied on Stafford QB1 and Kupp the Offensive Player of the Year and Games MVP. This season was a battle for the Rams. They had highs and lows, as every team does, but they needed a guy to come out of retirement from off the couch and a running back who tore his Achilles just 6 months ago. This is a resilient group that battled through adversity, and we saw that in the Super Bowl as they came away with a ring. It took Sean McVay years of Jared Goffing and a Belichickian Super Bowl ass-whooping to get here. But now, the Los Angeles Rams are Super Bowl champions. Thank you so much to each and every one of you for watching this episode, supporting the channel, interacting with me, for all of you who do every week in the comments, all the Patreon supporters, and just all of it. I'm incredibly grateful that I get to do this as my job, and you all are the real reason why it's all possible. I'll be taking a week off for this upcoming week, so no episode Saturday, but then we'll be going full throttle into draft season, breaking down probably 10-ish prospects. So please let me know who you most want to see in the comments below, because this content is really all for you. I'm going to enjoy this week off. I mean, no football, but I'm going to try and hit the beach, and I'll be ready to go when I'm back. Once again, a huge shout out to each and every one of you, and thanks for letting me live my dream. All right, see you in 2 Saturdays. Later.